Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Will Brax, Melby Styles, Troy Shuker, Bose Nail, Joseph Pizarro, Samson, Maris, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, NA Literalist, Marilia Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Liam Nedrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, and David Wayne Foster. So another huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Also, link below this video, you can get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. With that, I'm going to hand over to whoever is in Discord and G+, so you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're in a scientific, debate, right? Facts and how things work. It's complicated, especially when they lie to you. Different angles. It's not really a lie, right? Just the complication of the language. Sometimes, right? The devil.
Well, that's what most of this is. That's what it's all communication error, pretty much, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Planned.
Well, it's like the positive and negative that, people correlate to, it's really just higher energy moving to lower energy, you know? Like they're setting an arbitrary 0 point and then trying to make claims using that convention, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you can just as easily switch it and call it positive, negative, and negative positive, and things like that. Sometimes they get over confused sometimes, but that's part of it.
Positive and negative. That was just meant to describe, like the flow of energy.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, I don't even know what energy is now. I know it's how they define it, but I don't know if that's good enough.
The ability to do work is that, I'm with you. Yeah. I think you can't fly to outer space. Sorry. I just said you can't fly to outer space. This is the way it is. You're going out there.
Well, yeah, the whole 10 to the negative 17 Torah thing isn't the problem, really, though, is it? It's that just stops, I don't, gas decided to stop behaving like gas at 10 to the negative 17 Torah, I guess.
Even the layers, right? Go ahead.
Very cranky internet today. Very cranky.
I got laid off last week. And I called Ohio Unemployment to file my claim, and I got through in 5 minutes.
Wow. Yeah, America.
What happened? You got laid off, John?
Oh yeah, well, I was doing. We were taking the vessel out of a steel mill. Um, I mean, I was just mainly doing support work and reprogramming some of the pressure sensors. But you know, you do outage work and the outage ends. You got to go to another job.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I think John cut out.
Yeah,
Okay.
can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we got you, John.
we got you.
So
Hey,
we
Tenth Man.
got right to the unemployment. And you got go ahead.
Hey, 10th.
You got laid off, Nathan.
No, he's clearly got issues. Sorry, were you talking to me? Were you talking to me, Steve?
No, we were just talking, Nathan, waiting for you to show up. That's all. You're working now. We can hear you. John was talking there for a minute.
Yeah, 10th Man's just joined us. He just hasn't said hello yet.
Yeah. I was thinking that the debate in the last few days has been fairly interesting to listen to anyway.
You've been, I missed that. You've been debating and it's been interesting, did you say?
No, I've been listening to the debate the past couple of days, and it's been interesting to listen to.
Oh, jolly good. Hey, 10th. Nope, still nothing. You have to remind me, John, what were we talking about? What was being debated over the last couple of days?
Well, it usually started off with the downward bias that we don't experience to gas pressure. I like talking about gas pressure because it's like a really interesting topic.
I agree. It is.
Like the Newton's first law of gravitation or whatever. I think the proportionality he described is sort of like relative density in air. I think he was just wrong about M2 because of his philosophical belief.
Yeah, they're just trying to square a circle that they've got with a ball and looking for some other natural occurrence that they can weave it into. So, if it ended up that the ball rhetoric continues and it ended up being woven into incoherent dielectric acceleration, it wouldn't surprise me. But it's only going to be utilised to overcome a problem with the ball. That's all it's for. We have no need for it, right? What do we need a downward acceleration for?
Well, that's what the ether was initially intended for, wasn't it? To explain why the gas wasn't dispersing.
I don't know about gas not dispersing. As I understood it, it's a medium for the light wave, which it isn't, to propagate through.
Well, it was that, and it was used as an explanation for why it was since it's a medium, then the gas wouldn't expand out into it.
What?
Because it, I guess, like the container, like if you had a bubble underwater, the air would form into that bubble.
So the ether's a container, okay? Non-existent thing that they use to describe a medium
Yeah.
for light to travel through is also a container.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's the non-physical, physical ether, man.
Of course.
See, all you have to do to see the ether is get a jar and suck out all the air. And nothing is the ether. That's what I was told.
I see. Or don't see, as the case may be. It is puzzling, but I think, given how carefully constructed the narrative
I
is,
think tense.
Go on.
No, just making sure my sound works.
Yes, it does. Excellent.
Yeah, if you take all the air out of a jar, all you've proven is that you need a container to have a vacuum.
Yeah. But we're led down certain paths when we first get to this subject. You know, paths that lead you to azimuthal equidistant globe projections and assertions of ether, things of that nature. You kind of led down those paths. So it's not really surprising that people who've been led down those paths get very into that particular frame of mind, that way of thinking. And that's all we're seeing. You know, the map is an easier one to parallel it with. You know, people get introduced to the azimuthal equidistant projection. Now, don't get me wrong, the same
just
go on, 10th.
Yeah. No, I'm just saying. Let's just reverse the roles here, just for sake of argument. If the Earth was a ball with a curvature and all the things that go with a sphere, it would be akin to what we, as flat earthers, are recognizing of the opposite, meaning we see a horizon that's horizontal, level, and flat. We understand you can't have gas pressure without containment. We also have a lack of Coriolis effect based on Earth rotation. Now, if the Earth was a ball, you would have the positive view of that. You would see curvature when you look out. You would have Coriolis, Earth-based. Something would go up and the Earth would turn underneath it. So all of the practical means right at disposal. Only backup that the ball is not a ball turning, and gas pressure must have containment. So they're the ones stuck without the evidence right in front of their eyes.
Yeah. Hence, I say it's obviously an observably flat.
Like the argument is so far gone now, it's easy to forget they're even at the table anymore.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they have to have their geometric horizon be Earth curve. They have to have the horizon that they were telling us that block the bottom of boats and buildings. If they change their mind now and say, oh, all those years, hundreds of years that we said that the bottom of boats and buildings was Earth curvature, we're wrong. That's just perspective. Well, welcome to flat Earth. I mean, it's like the easiest comeback there is.
Right. Snacks are in the back.
DJ's playing the music or whatever.
DJ's taking requests.
Because you've got to overcome the dynamics of water. Water doesn't bend. Can't pour it on the ball and have it hold on to it. You can't spin the ball and expect that to hold on to it when it's going to spray outwards. I mean, everything is cockeyed in their model.
The video I released from the end of yesterday's show about everything being a hologram.
When did you release that?
Morning.
This morning?
Hmm.
Okay, I'll have to look at it. Well, they have, as you said, at the end of yesterday's show, or some part of yesterday's show, they have to have everything be refracted. Everything's refracted on their model.
Right, nothing's where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, how absurd is that?
Yeah, it's nuts.
I shoot firearms, and there's no way you can hit your target if it's not supposed to be where you're aiming. I can't be aiming where I think it is when it's not there, but I'm aiming at someplace where it isn't. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's not only not there. Once the bullet leaves the barrel, Earth's going to turn underneath the barrel, the bullet. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
that's it. You got to anticipate where it's going to be through your senses. But when you're looking at it, it's not where what it actually is when you actually have to anticipate where it's going to be next.
And this is for something stationary.
This is for something stationary. It's comedic. I had fun yesterday on that chat room after you put out that video yesterday. And they were going nuts.
Oh yes, I did see you leave several comments on there.
Oh, I was at my friend's restaurant, and I'm just like, oh, this is gonna be fun.
All right, 2 lines of sight.
Oh, that was great. 2 lines of sight. Rumpus. Oh my gosh.
Just to speak to what John was saying, I have no objection to there being no fundies at the table anymore. Yeah, all the place settings are set. They're more than welcome to sit down if they choose to. The fact that they don't doesn't bother me. These, on the whole, aren't very nice people. So do I care? Doesn't mean the doors aren't open.
Yeah, when I first was introduced to this whole Discord, and frankly, I didn't even know what a troll was until I ran into your show, and trench people, and it's like, oh man, we don't need these people. They're just here to ad hom and cause a ruckus. I'd like to have intelligent discussion, and having that discussion yesterday with Brian and QE and everybody, that was wonderful, and Adam, and I mean, you're learning things as you go through it, and it's just wonderful to be a part of a intellectually high level discussion like that. And all of a sudden, they come in.
You morons, you don't understand.
You utter.
Well,
I
they've got
did
their-
not know what the scientific method was. I did not know what an ad hom was. I knew nothing until I got on the show.
Yep. Begging the question.
Yeah, don't
Nobody
forget
knew
that.
what that was before, did they?
Well, no,
Did not know what the hell that was. Now I hear it everywhere.
no. If
Yeah.
you have kids, it's called something else, but you've heard it before.
Non sequitur fallacy. No one knew what that was.
Yeah.
Lost in the sauce.
Have you guys seen Hillbilly Blue Balls' latest video?
No.
Nah.
I'm not going to explain it now. I'm going to do it in the after. I'm going to do it. I'm going to release it as a premiere. It's about 12 minutes long. A, because I need the viewing minutes up a little bit, and B, because basically he debunks his gas pressure without a container video because he's picking on Bob. Bob says something like, "It doesn't matter. I won't go through it now. It's not worth it." But
go on.
Hillbilly Blue Balls is in violation of the contradiction. What?
Let's you half going through it anyway.
Well, he's picking Bob Nodell up on something that he said. Now, to be fair, Bob did get it wrong, but he's trying to show that Bob got it wrong. But in doing so, he debunks his own model, his own, that pipe that he put up the side of his house to demonstrate gas pressure without a pipe. I mean, because it had no lid on. He debunks his own video because Bob says something like, when the gas is in the vacuum, it needs a medium to sit on top of. If there's no medium for the gas to sit on top of, then it's just going to fall to the deck, or words to that effect. Now, obviously, we know that the gas pressure bounces around in all directions. There's no bias. It's just randomly with perfectly elastic collisions. And he picks up on that point. So he's basically laughing at Bob. Now, when he makes his criticism of Bob, if you apply his criticism of Bob against his own observation, his own test that he tried to do up the side of his house, he debunks his own observation. So my video is to demonstrate how it's convenient for him this time to pick on Bob. But it's because it's convenient to pick on Bob, he'll run with it because it suits his narrative to pick on Bob. But if you apply what he says against his own observation, then it debunks his own observation. So which one is it? Is he debunking his own observation, or is he just like picking on Bob? But in any event, he's in a state of contradiction, so he's going to have to address it because he's an idiot.
Epic.
He will always err on the side of the globe, though.
Well, he's not going to be able to because Bob's point was, well, Bob said something like, if there's no medium for the gas to sit on, then it's just going to hit the deck. Well, Blue Marble Science is picking up on that, and he's saying, well, we know that the gas is bouncing around in all directions, and it doesn't need another gas to stop it from moving, so it'll fill the available volume, essentially. And I'm like, great, well, apply that in your own video, and you debunk your own video. So he can't really have it both ways. He is in violation of the law of non-contradiction.
Right, but he will say that he was wrong and Bob was right before he'll ever say that gravity isn't true.
I don't think he will say that he was wrong. I think he'll just hope that people don't pick up on it.
They do.
I mean, if you
sort of
actually
ostrich
had him
syndrome.
cornered.
They stick their heads in the sand when this sort of thing happens.
I mean, Jesus, Nathan, when we got stuff wrong in the past, we had to just say, do you know what? Yeah, okay, we got that wrong. And it went away as quick as it came. It was like 2 or 3 days later and it was gone. But because he won't do it, we know that this is going to linger for ages. So maybe we should like pin gas pressure without a container, not only on Conspiracy Cats, but also on Blue Marble Science too, because he's an idiot too.
I've already got him on record saying you need containment.
Yeah, I always still ascribe it to, in the same way that CV Boys ascribed gravitation to Newton. I've still got Conspiracy Cats ascribed gas molecules without a container. Without the balloon, there can be no pressure. In my head, it's still against Conspiracy Cats.
Conspiracy Cats, Blue Marble Science, all those people, they're nobodies, right? Like, they don't matter to anybody, do they?
They're influential to their own, I was going to say their own sphere of friends, their own circle of friends.
So what? So they're preaching to the converted? Wow, that sounds like a difficult task.
Well, it's just a deception, isn't it? If the ball earthers realise that they're double speaking, maybe one or two of them will just go, "What? Can you run that by me again and explain it?" Yes, of course I can. Come in and sit down.
That's our job.
Yeah, that's the point.
Yeah. So they're a useful tool for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. In terms of who they're convincing, they're preaching to the converted. So who are they trying to convince? Well, themselves. Isn't it sweet?
Yeah, share your pain.
Exactly, share your pain.
I was going to speak to the insulation of their priesthood in the way that they've established, questions that can't, or answers that can't be questioned instead of questions that can't be answered.
They're just the front line first, the first line of defense for the likes of Neil deGrasse Tyson. That's what they do. The role.
I don't think that needs an ancillary line of defense. I think once that's failed, they've then got to convince themselves, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's great when you point out that, hey, if you apply that against your own test there, dude, how are you going to explain that? Because you can't have gas pressure without the container yet. You're admitting that Bob's got it wrong when you're saying that there's no gas needed for the other ones to stop it. Okay, so if that's the case, then why doesn't the butane in the container that you're using, why doesn't that disperse over time? Oh, it does.
Again, the same principle applies to Bob, though. This has proven useful. Same applied with his gyroscope. In the end, it proved useful. So there's a claim. It's all clear. Everyone's well aware. 15 degrees an hour drift as Earth turns beneath the gyro. That's what's being claimed, right? That'd shorten flight times. End of argument. Prior to Bob, we spent 2 hours, sometimes 3 hours, sometimes more, just discussing Coriolis effect.
I can't stand the Coriolis argument. It's so convoluted and it's so simple.
Yeah,
I love it.
that's a perfect description. It's so convoluted yet so simple. The argument, the premise is simple as it gets. You turning on a roundabout, looking at stuff not turning with you. That's it. It's really easy. But if
But
you
they've
don't,
got to discombobulate the whole conversation, because if it's that simple and they apply it that simply, then it debunks their model. So they've got to make it more complicated, and that's what Rumpus does.
Well, it's only
They'll do it.
convoluted because you allow, well, I can't say you guys, but let me just put it in other words. It's simple. Earth rotating under something else that's not on the Earth. That's Coriolis. Now, their own definition with the wiki GIF tells you that with the roundabout. So the actual description of Coriolis, we are saying exactly the way their official documents say. The Earth is turning is what's causing Earth-based Coriolis. They convolute it with hurricanes and winds, and the observer is in the second reference frame on the object rather than on the Earth looking at the airplane, for example. So it's just, we lack the discipline, or someone would lack the discipline to hold them to the actual meaning of words, then it's convoluted. But it's not convoluted at all. It's very simple. Earth is turning, and if you're above the Earth, the Earth's going to turn under it, and it's going to cause a Coriolis effect, Earth-based, and it's not happening.
Let me say something. One of the guys I work with got on when you guys left, and Ted, man, set him up beautifully. I got to take my hat off to you, Ted. The guy was talking about gravity on it. First, Ted took him off the spinning ball and made him realize, just by looking at water and the nature of water, that it don't bend. So when the guy was good with that and agreed to that, then he tried to go, but how are we here? Won't we float away? And Ted is like, why are you going back on a ball? You just agreed that it can't be a ball. That was good.
Thank you, Neil. That was good.
praise
He was
Jehovah.
scratching his head the rest of the day.
Well, it's a lot like this geometric horizon that they have marked with an H. How'd you mark it if you never saw it? I love that one.
Yeah, and how can it be horizon if we can't see it? Then it's not a horizon, right?
Well, they got
or-
lots of horizons.
These are all demonstrations of an implicit understanding of the black swan argument, and that's what it all boils down to for me. The whole idea of Earth being a sphere requires them having a sphere, a curved surface beneath your feet, and the black swan shows you haven't got a physical horizon. And what are they measuring to claim that the Earth's spherical? Well, the horizon. That's what they're using. It all starts at the horizon. I remember someone bringing up a list of things to do if you're debating a flat earther, and they made it implicitly clear. It all starts with the horizon. And we've debunked it as a physical Earth curve edge. So it's game over.
Well, the geometric horizon is a purely theoretical construct, not anything you can ever see. The R is what they need in their sphere, because you got to have an R if you have a sphere, and they don't have their R. And that's where the sextant comes in handy as a practical tool to validate the black swan. Not that the black swan needs any validating, but it does work quite well hand in hand, because the only way they can get an angle is to go to the center of the sphere and do their measurements from there. But ask any sailor, where does he do his measurements from? On the surface of a sphere that lacks a geometric horizon. That lacks, in fact, they even say it's curved. Well, then you can't even use the sextant, because sextant can't work with a curved surface. It has to have two straight lines to form an angle. The whole thing falls apart.
Yeah, same applies to the surveying itself. After the presupposition that you're on a sphere, you're measuring everything flat, with flat tools and flat maths. Because it's flat.
Correct. Correct. Yeah, they don't like it when you tell them that it's a thought experiment, but that's what it is.
Well, all right. They beg the question with the datum, but then when they assume it's a tangent plane, is that a presupposition?
No, that's a justification for measuring it flat. Tangent means their zenith, 90 degrees, dip angle, presupposition of sphere. That bit's the presupposition. When you take the zenith, yeah, that bit is just 90 degrees to your position, but then you assume that you're pointing off at an angle on a sphere. Then the plane bit, tangent plane. Well, the bit they're actually measuring is the flat plane from your 90 degree zenith. That's what they're actually measuring. Same applies with your sextant, example 10th. What are they actually utilising to do it with? Well, straight lines. That's how it works. So the fact that they can presuppose they're on a ball before they draw out these straight lines doesn't mean anything. It just means that they're begging the question so that you start the process with the sphere in mind, but then you go forth and measure it flat.
Yep. That's why Andrew Thomas Young, in one of his papers, articles that he writes, he uses the word numerically because it's not a measurement. Numerically, it has to be there if you're living on a sphere. But since it can't be measured, he can't say actually it was measured to be there.
Wouldn't that work if it actually was a sphere, though? The way you stated that.
Say that again, John.
Well, I ain't saying you're wrong. I was just saying the way that you stated that would allow someone to say, well, we know it's a sphere, and that's why it works.
Well, the geometric horizon is not a real measurement. It's a distance. It's an arithmetic problem. So they have to have something match the sphere. The radius of 3959 tells you exactly if you're on the surface, if you're going to do a line from, say, a star zenith position or your zenith position to a star somewhere 1,000, 1,500 miles from you. Those lines coming down to Earth have to go through your head, through your body, through your feet to the center of the Earth, creating one straight line. And then the one over the one from the star does the same thing. Has to hit the center to form the angle. So if it's going to form an angle, then you're going to be able to tell the curvature on the surface because you know the radius. But we can never see it. We can never measure it. And so what is blocking the bottom of boats and buildings? Is it the curve or is it perspective? So they have to say numerically, if we live on a sphere, this is where it should be. But it's impossible to see because, and here it comes, the Earth's atmosphere is blocking it. So they have to make up something.
Well, yeah, that's still silly though. Like just hearing it, it's still silly because if you can't measure it, then how can you use it as a constant in your math?
And when they go to refraction,
You can't.
they say,
That's not worth not leaving answered. You can't. You can't get R. You can't then use R to move the horizon or move the targets. You can't do anything if you can't get that R value in the first place. If the horizon's not a physical tangent point, then you can't do geometry. Their horizon is a physical geometric sphere edge horizon. We've only got one. Theirs is physical, claimed to be blocking boats and buildings. The one we actually see in reality is not physical. That's what debunks the globe Earth.
yeah, and they have to go to refraction. And once they go to refraction, welcome to flat Earth.
Once they go to
even refraction.
Their refraction's based on R. Same principle applies.
Well, you can't use that anymore. I'm
Exactly.
talking about real refraction.
Well, they don't use real refraction. They use terrestrial refraction at a rate that they'll decide after the fact, but is in 7/6 standard format. Well, when they apply that, it's got an R value, 7/6 of the radius, derived from a tangent point horizon claimed to be blocking boats and buildings. And if they're moving
They
it,
don't have.
if they're
Right,
moving
but
it,
you since But since you've just destroyed with John R, you can't have 7/6R refraction, so that goes out the window. You just got regular refraction based on the weather.
That's not part of globe maths, so it's irrelevant.
But globe math died without the R,
Exactly.
without the geometric horizon, so we can't even use it anyway.
Exactly.
So yeah, when they go to refraction, I know they're going to 7/6, but I won't let them because we just killed R. We just killed the geometric horizon. So they can't use that refraction based on R.
They can't.
They will.
Well, they do, but it's a paradox. That's the Arwinian paradox. You can't move the horizon with R if you can't get R, because the R is derived from the horizon as a physical geometric tangent point. If it's not a physical tangent point, and you're saying, well, it's moved with an R value, well, where are you getting the R value? If the horizon's no longer physical, and you're justifying why it's not physical with refraction based on R, you can't get R. It's a paradox.
Indeed.
We've got 3 minutes, just in case you're all going quiet because you think I'm about to start.
No, I just looked at the clock.
But round and round we go.
Well,
We
they're
do.
hanging on for dear life.
You only keep going round and round and round because you're trying to convert your son, Neil. Let's be honest about it. You wouldn't be going round and round in these arguments if it wasn't for your son. Am I right?
No, I still would love to destroy ballers.
You know, that's different. That's just sport.
It's personal.
Exactly.
Well, when he comes down every night for dinner talking about space and stuff, yeah, it gets a little frustrating.
Ask good questions. You remember?
He's doing that. He's doing that because he's in pain. He knows.
When he does it, just imagine he's, that kid when he was 5 coming down telling you our Santa's real. Just picture that little kid, because it's the same little kid.
I do see this topic as Santa for adults.
Yeah. The behaviour panel, who I spoke about a few times, said that we are all just 2-year-olds covered in skin, hair and scars. That's all we are. That 2-year-old is what they program with globe Earth rhetoric. Hey, Arwen.
How's everybody doing?
Not bad.
All good, man, all good. It's just about to start.
What's up, Arwen?
Yeah, it's good.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon, and crypto link in the info box below the video. Also below this video, there is a link to get £50 for swapping your UK electricity supplier to Octopus Energy. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. One last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, we are joined by Father of a Stolen Child, Neil, Sleeping Warrior, Arwin, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all. Shout out to Dale West Watson, who's given a belated birthday treat to my birthday via the Super Chat. Thank you very much indeed, Dale West Watson. And again, welcome, one and all.
Good afternoon. Happy Friday or Sunday.
Yeah, don't mention the day.
Oh, and you are.
I'm going to do it every single time, Nathan.
I say don't mention the day. Just your rebellious side coming out of you, Arwin. Any evidence of physical geometric sphere edge horizons, formerly known as Earth curvature?
No, not at all.
No, but we can calculate as if there were one.
It's a thought experiment, theoretical construct. That's what it is.
The horizon is
I
not
think I-
physical. The horizon is not Earth curve. We only have one horizon, and the horizon in the geometric physical sphere edge globe model is physical. Our horizon in reality isn't physical. The horizon's not Earth curve. The horizon is not physical. Any evidence of axial?
No, it is, but
Go on, Arwin. The short pause wasn't the right time.
it
clearly.
is.
I left a pause.
It is.
I leave a pause, right?
It is geometric. It is geometric. You just
you're-
need to draw a curved line to the tangent point in order to get it.
Yeah, the horizon isn't a tangent point, though. That's the point. That they haven't got anymore.
No, but
Yeah,
it
so-
can be.
They can't.
So the horizon is not a physical point, but you can calculate it as if it were one.
So
not a
you
physical point.
calculate the physical point, then you draw a curved line to it, and you got your tangent.
No,
you have to
number one,
preassume you
a curved line to it. No, Arwin. No, you're not drawing curved lines to anything and calling them a tangent, because a tangent is a straight line to a point on a sphere or a circle. That's not a tangent if you're drawing bent lines to it.
No, but you just need the tangent point. And then you can draw a curved line to that tangent point.
And the tangent point is only a tangent point because it's got a straight line drawn to it, Arwin.
Yeah, but you don't need that anymore because you can draw the curved line to it.
You know what you call it? A tangent point without a straight line drawn to it, Arwin.
I learned it from Rumpus.
It's got a name. A tangent point without a straight line drawn to it.
Yes.
It's just called a point.
Oh, good point.
Any more on physical geometric sphere edge horizons, formerly known as Earth curvature? We've debunked them. The
Yeah.
horizon's not physical.
Yeah, give me a second. I'm going to post something, but go on to the next question. I'll bring it back.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No, we just see two rotation points in the sky, but if you think that we're on a sphere and they're antipodal to each other, then we've got an axis.
No. Any actual evidence in physical reality that we have axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No, I just think that it's there because they tell me that that's antipodal.
Beyond any begging the question fallacies that when travelling south you arrive antipodal from your north location because you've used the word hemisphere, any evidence of actual axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
No.
Did I buy you enough time with my tongue twisters, 10th?
No, I'll let you know. I'm having trouble finding it.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
It's over there, I think.
This is where Arwin should say about his physicality assumption bias.
Well, I'm not assuming it's physical. It's just over there and can't really have a distance to it, but it still appears there and there's angular relation, so we can have a... No, wait, you can't have an angular distance that
I was about to
contradicts
say.
itself.
Yeah, that's what they
Hmm.
do, though.
But you can have an apparent distance towards it. Whatever it is.
Give it an arc second. Don't mention the fact that you haven't got any physical relationships to actually measure, and then you're away to the races if you assume R and assume Venus has the same R value and apply Kepler's third law.
Right. So we're just left to measuring appearances then.
It appears to be quite a long way away. It appears to be quite close. That's fascinating. Any evidence of the measured actual distance to the sun?
Actual measurements.
Don't be shy in Discord.
If they just shot this rocket straight towards it with a camera mounted on it, you know, I suggested doing this for the moon as well. It should be easier if the heliocentric model was a real thing. Then just shoot it towards it, and then if everything was correct, it wouldn't smash into the top of the container, the rocket, or basically lose lift and just drop down again. It should go towards the sun and then show a slight angular size increase due to perspective as you're approaching this thing called the sun that you're assuming is physically there. But it hasn't really been done yet. At some point, NASA just claimed, oh, look, we got a special satellite installed very close to the sun. Look, it's taking daily pictures of this sun fiery ball animation that actually doesn't look anything like the sun. But they didn't show like how they got there. It's just always like, oh, we got it installed right there now.
Story starts with
That's it.
a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and then an assumption of a sky vacuum as the medium they travelled through. Same with any of the quote-unquote planets. Just light.
Yeah.
And evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
To be honest,
Any scientific evidence of incoherent dielectric acceleration with the downward bias?
I was going to say, to be honest, we're better off asking, is there any evidence of a downward bias at all, let alone be it gravity? Or, I mean, they can't even define gravity, but what the in phrase is downward bias. Well, where's the evidence of that? Well, helium balloons, steam, eggs in water, iron, what they called, anvils in...
Mercury.
What's that silver stuff called?
Mercury.
Mercury, yeah.
Mercury.
Yeah.
No, Anthony, there's no evidence of any downward bias. Some things go up.
So if we were all in the density layer or the medium called Mercury, then everything would fall up. Would there be a perception that there was an upwards bias? Yes, because absolutely everything would then go up. But we're not in Mercury, are we? We're in somewhere towards the opposite end of the scale, but we're not at the absolute opposite. We're in a vacuum. So there is a medium there, and it has got a magnitude or a value to it. And that medium value denotes the direction. We've demonstrated it. We did what Einstein and Newton failed.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
The blue marble science is...
Yeah, there's no science for that at all. But I was just
Blue
going to say,
marbles.
like, what did you say about Mercury? We're being surrounded by... Can you imagine, like, the entire world realm being filled by Mercury? That almost makes me start to imagine, like, so much Mercury, so much... Yeah, weight, I guess. Density, weight.
No.
Wouldn't that make the dome burst open?
No. Just think about a different liquid. Just think about fish in water rather than bloody mercury.
Well, Mercury's an extreme example of something that we haven't got anything more dense than. So for our wins there, to imagine everything would be stuck to the ceiling, but we would then call that down, because that's what, like Jaren says, we would then be in that position. So everything would have a down perception, but it would then be up.
But wouldn't just the sheer pressure of all that mercury just burst whatever is containing us?
Mercury's not
God
adamantium.
knows.
Yeah, but it's extremely heavy.
I know.
And it's going to push in all directions. The weight of it, right?
look, it's not something that needs bloody kryptonite around it to stop its effects, Arwen. It's just mercury.
But it's really heavy though, and if the
Oh,
entire
God.
realm was literally filled up from bottom to top with freaking mercury, that's gonna make quite an impact, I think.
Okay. In this
Just
hypothetical world,
on the
sorry, I forgot
on the
you're in the
confine, on the
hypothetical
container.
world. You're a very literal man, and when talking about the hypothetical, you talk about it very vividly, like you're actually describing us having a mercury problem where it can't be contained. Yeah, in that hypothetical scenario that Anthony's created, where air is replaced with fucking mercury, then yeah, it would be a problem. But I don't think it's going to be a problem for us to worry about.
Not for long anyway. But I was just wondering, like, if there is some kind of a dome, and I'm not saying that there has to be a top at least, but if there is like a sideways dome, some barrier touchdown, well, it would definitely reveal whether would be something outside of that or not, because to take all that material pressure from the inside, like mercury filled everywhere, that's good. Like any container, even in this world, that you're going to fill with mercury is going to have its structural integrity tested, because mercury is just so freaking heavy.
Okay, can we get off the
You can't
subject
keep
of
mercury in a balloon; it's going to rip right through it.
Can we get off the subject of mercury? Is that a possibility? Any single
right.
viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
No.
How about the orbit of Mercury?
I think you're overloading your mic, Arwen. You're going very like warbly. I don't know what you're doing, but
Oh, sorry, I'll keep a distance. But I was going to
Eat your
say, how
microphone.
about the orbit of Mercury?
Eat your microphone. Eat your microphone.
I don't think it's him eating it. Something going wrong because it's like a funny kind of distortion. Anyway, I won't labour it too long, otherwise we'll be here for a 5-minute period, which I don't want.
I'll drop and rejoin.
That might be an idea because you are sounding a bit weird. Now he's gone. What a wanker, eh? No, I'm only joking. Where were we? Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Yeah,
No.
the gravity orbit of Mercury. Since I wasn't allowed to talk about Mercury anymore, I thought I would just bring up the orbit of Mercury.
That's a different Mercury, but fine.
Right. Although it is kind of a gravity question. Although, look, astronomers and astrophysicists just should have an answer. So how about that gravity-based orbit of Mercury? Can you show us the model yet?
You know damn well that they can't do it. That's why you're asking. You might as well make that point, though.
Right.
Hello, the 1990s. No? Nobody? Fair enough.
Is that ringtone you mean?
Yeah.
What's it? What is it?
No, someone-
Okay, Nathan, I got it for you.
Okay, where is it going? Master B?
Yep.
Starting with fictitious geography?
Fictitious. Yeah, this is from that site, American Association of Geographers. Just the language is colorful. Fictitious geography. In science and also in mapping, we are concerned with non-fiction generally in our work. But all too often we lose sight of the fact that much of our non-fiction is built upon abstraction and arbitrarily agreed upon convention, like p-values, for instance. With that in mind, today I will share some words from the glossary to help us remember that right there in our nonfiction research is our own fiction that we like to call abstraction and assumption. Go to the next slide. This one's, I'm going to have to read this for you. It's kind of small, isn't it? Radius of Earth effective, a fictitious value of the Earth's radius. What kind of value? A fictitious value of the Earth's radius, which when used in a formula for the distance from a point to the geometric horizon, gives the same answer as would using the true value of the radius in a formula for the distance to the apparent horizon. If Earth were spherical and without air, tangents drawn to the surface from a point above it would define a circle, the geometric horizon, outside of which no points on the sphere would be visible from the chosen point, but all points inside it would be. If an atmosphere were added, points outside the circle would become visible because the line of sight would curve and extend to points beyond the geometric horizon. And as far as the circle, the apparent horizon, the greater radius. The distance to the apparent horizon can be calculated using the same formula as is used for the distance to the geometric horizon if, in that formula, a larger value, the effective radius, is used for the radius of the Earth. The effective radius for points of observation within the troposphere is greater than the true radius and increases with wavelength of the radiation at which the observations are made. It is particularly useful in determining, without long calculation, whether 2 points considerable distance apart will be intervisible or able to receive each other's signals. For radio waves, the ultra-high frequencies, the effective radius is 4/3, the true radius. Next slide. As it ends, at the end, they had other terms, but I wanted to keep it on the geometric horizon. We should embrace the fiction in our science because understanding what we can measure and what we cannot is a very important step to understanding the world around us scientifically. Could they say it any better, the fiction in our science?
Yeah, embrace the fiction because we're doing science. It's just a total lie. They're not doing science. Science starts with natural phenomena. Well, no. We have to embrace the mathematics of something we cannot see to derive a value that we can extend out to a bigger value to assert that everything that's a hologram is going to be seen because it's beyond what you should see. That's essentially what that statement's saying. And then at the end they call it scientifically. No, it's not scientifically. It's maths. And no, we don't have a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon anymore. And it would need to be to block boats and buildings. Any evidence of our Earth radius? Thanks, 10th man.
In the math, or it was always.
Only in the math.
Did Alberoni presuppose R?
No, he was measuring it with a dip angle to the physical geometric sphere edge horizon.
But why then did he, like, deviate his calculations afterward? To what end?
Didn't.
But he was off, wasn't he?
No.
Wait.
Dip angle measurement that Alberoni gives you the radius. That's how it's claimed to be measured.
Right, but he
Understand.
was off. That's what I heard. Like when he was doing it, they were several degrees off from what the geometry was. So to come to that conclusion, wouldn't he have to have presupposed the radius in the first instance?
No, it's the other way around. If you're going to say he's off, the actual geometric value is X or Y off what he stated, then how are you going to get that unless you can actually measure it? Again, it leaves you in a paradox. Well, I'm going to say it wasn't quite accurate. Well, what do you mean it wasn't accurate? Well, what he measured wasn't quite exactly the same as the actual geometric sphere edge, which you'd have if you were on a sphere. It would be a geometric certainty. It would be blocking your view. It's claimed to be blocking your view. It's necessitated by their geometry, and that's what you would have. Now, if they say it's not quite right, well, how have you got the comparison? When did you actually measure the geometric horizon? Answer, you can't. So how can you say he's off? How are you getting the correct measurement then? Well, you don't. You can't measure what cannot be seen, and we don't see a geometric horizon. The horizon is not geometric. We only have one. Theirs, in the globe model, is geometric. That's their assertion we're on a sphere. As soon as it's not geometric, we're not on an Earth with a curve anymore. Earth curve dead.
That's a
Dead.
tough one.
DED dead.
AJ
Morning, guys.
M 1966 from the chat says, "Well, I'm still breathing, so I think I'm covered, hun." Quite like that. Well, that concludes the
What's going on,
housekeeping.
guys?
That's it. Hey, Chocolate.
Yo.
Yo, yo.
Hello. Can you not hear us?
Yeah, I hear you. What's up?
Sky.
What's going on? Cool.
I missed out on housekeeping. Last one of the week.
Yeah, I know. I know. I came into hearing how we might be off by a certain percentage of a geometric horizon that we can't actually measure. I
That's
don't know
correct.
I would say we would be pretty off if we're basing it on something we didn't actually measure, can't measure, because apparently we have an atmosphere. Well, that's real cool.
Should be really easy. Should be measurable at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Should be.
You would think so, right?
Well, it must be. It's not you would think so. It must be if we're on a sphere. It's a necessity.
But
That's how
that
they work.
hurts if it's not there. It hurts them.
It's weird that we would have to assert to them that it's a necessity to have a physical geometric sphere edge to block boats and buildings when they've got calculators that assert exactly that. But we've got to tell them that they need a physical sphere edge for a horizon when they were barking it at us 3 years ago? Isn't that a turnaround? No, fundies, you do need a physical horizon. No, we don't. Nobody's claiming it's Earth curve. Really? Why would you assert that there's a feet and inches value blocked by a physical Earth curve then? Why is this Earth curve calculator called Earth curve calculator? Why is that? It's because you do definitely need a physical geometric sphere edge for a horizon. We've just debunked it.
It hurts us, Master.
It hurts. It burns us. It's damn shame.
Well, it won't be long and Tim Osman will be proven true. Nobody claims the horizon is Earth curve. End quote. Yeah, won't be long because people realise, yeah, what a crazy notion when I was up in the plane thinking that that horizon was a physical Earth curve edge for boats to fall over. What a crazy notion, eh?
Wait, Tim Osman said that? But I'm pretty sure that right around that time he also showed his drone footage of the Salt Lake and how that was the sphere edge.
The bit I like, Owen, is round about that time he's been touting that for 2 straight years.
That's the pain kicking in. Nobody claims horizon's Earth curve as you're presenting a horizon as Earth curve. That's pain.
At the top of his image of multiple horizons composited together, it says, "This is Earth curve." This is Earth curve. Nobody claims the horizon is Earth curve. Now look at my pictures of horizons titled "This is Earth curve."
It's wonderful.
He's never been back since.
Nope. I don't blame him either.
I don't
the
know
most
about
shocking.
wonderful, but wondrous, definitely.
You can't come back from something. That's such an epic fail. You just can't come back from that.
That's such an epic fail. He even said it 3 times in 3 different ways. He paraphrased himself with "Nobody claims the horizon is Earth curve." He said it in 3 different ways on the same show within about 20 minutes. It was epic because he couldn't quite believe it. All he'd done is ducked out for a while, not really paid attention to what the Black Swan proved and disproved, and then you end up in a situation like Mr. Sensible. Well, all you've done is debunk R. yeah, that's right. Welcome to Flat Earth. Nobody claims the horizon's Earth curve. Yeah, well, we don't. You do. Welcome to Flat Earth.
This kind of goes with what we were talking about earlier in the pre-show. They have so little to put their beliefs and hopes on for a curved Earth that they make all these mistakes along the way when it's obviously and observably flat and motionless. So there's more evidence for a flat Earth and an Earth that's not turning than there is for what their model says. And yet they make all these statements of their model like it actually exists, and then when they don't understand the black swan, they destroy the very heart of their model, the R value, which destroys everything in their model.
Yeah. Or they say, you know that horizon that we used to say was blocking things in the distance with a feet and inches value, based on our Earth curve maths? Well, that physical location isn't actually physical at all. That's why it's so far in the distance in a black swan. It's refracted, i.e. it's not physical. You know, no longer capable of being Earth curve. It doesn't have any geometric values anymore. We just take a point, point, not tangent point, just a point. We draw a curved line to it and assume the R value that we can no longer measure because we've just moved the horizon from its physical location with geometric values attached. Well, we're going to move it to a non-geometric location. Really? Well, what's blocking boats and buildings then? I thought that was the proof that we had physical Earth curve. The fact that it blocks stuff, according to you, when stuff got too small to see. So that's not what was blocking the boats and the buildings then. That's moved to a non-physical apparent location, right? Bye-bye Earth curve. Bye-bye geometric Earth curve calculators. Bye-bye the assertion we're on a heliocentric sphere flying through a sky vacuum. Bye-bye. All you need is Swan.
All you need is what?
Swan.
I missed it again. All you need is Quan.
Swan. Swan.
Oh, Swan. Yeah. Yeah. I just had, Tommy, Brummy. Do you remember Brummy?
Yes. Reasons, yeah.
He just rang then and he just said, I found my first ever Nathan Oakley channel in like Scientism. I said, oh really? I said, what number was it like? And he said, and I said, how did it go? He said, well, Nathan was the usual arse. He said, but you were kind of being a little bit more nice to me. He said, and trying to guide me through it. And we were talking about gas pressure without a container. And I was like, and how did it go? And he said, you know what? He said, I was such an ignorant bigot. He said, I couldn't understand how you lot couldn't understand how it wasn't like the way that you were seeing it. And he said, I just couldn't understand it. It was number Flat Earth Debate 480. And Tommy was a globe edits entitled. And it's just, he said it was brilliant to go back and listen to it. Obviously, Tommy's converted from being a ball earth idiot into thinking maybe we're not on a ball. And he's asking all the questions that we asked about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So he's well into his journey now and realizes that obviously back in the day, 2 years ago, when he made his first Flat Earth Debate introduction, he was a bit of an idiot. And he was laughing at his own stupidity.
Go on, Neil.
I said a bit. He was an obnoxious son of a bee.
Yeah, but looking back on it now, he realizes that the ignorance is really stark one-sided, isn't it? I mean, don't forget, we all realized that we were all ball earthers at one point, right? It's only when we started asking questions that we started to question it. Now, ultimately, he's realized that he came in like a hot stone and he was unnecessarily harsh and he was just laughing at his own poor behavior. Shout out to Tommy.
Fancies himself as a bit of a boxing pundit. So he gives his, I don't know if you watched his videos. So obviously you subscribe to these people because they're related to the subject and they're going to have ancillary subjects that they cover. And for him, it's fighting. I'm not a particularly big fighting fan, but I find it vaguely interesting. So I was finding myself watching his commentaries and giving his opinions on various different celebrity fighters and the people they come up against and how it's slanted in favour of one or the other. I thought it was quite fascinating, actually. I thought he was quite good, very knowledgeable.
Well, he's a fighter himself, and he's had a few bouts himself. He's dusted a few people. He's probably been dusted himself a couple of times, but yeah, he's a keen boxer. So interesting to see his angle.
Yeah, I could take him down.
I don't know. I think the key thing is, what would Rachie do?
What would Rachie do?
I don't get it. Someone explain that.
You were constantly asking about this, that, and the other. Would Rachie behave like this? And then Neil said, I'm sure Rachie will cover this, and etc. etc. It went on and on. I'm like, bloody hell, it's come down to what would Rachie do, as in what would Jesus do?
can't
Well, I
believe
mean,
we got to explain this to you, Anthony. Come on, keep up.
But I'm just at the point. The point that drives me mad is that forget about the person. It's look at the influence on the two characters in question. You've got one person that's influencing the other, and he's on our side, and that person on the other person that's receiving that influence is then confused. So regardless of who, just acknowledge that the newbie coming to the topic is being influenced by somebody on our side with a low level argument being presented by a high level protagonist. And the effect is confusion. That drives me mental.
I said it in the pre-show. These people are trying to convince themselves, though. The exercise of trying to convince someone else is merely projection in every single instance.
I think.
Hold on,
I absolutely agree.
Nathan, you said about my son, and I was thinking about it. You're right, because every night when he comes down and sits at the dinner table, I see this look on his face. So his brain is like spinning. So I can't explain it, but there is something going on there. And it's pain.
Well, I was going to say, it's a nihilistic outlook on the world, heliocentrism. And it's not really, after assessment, I couldn't have said this in that particular mindset, but it's not a healthy way of looking at the world. It leaves you with a kind of couldn't care less attitude, let's put it that way. And I think that's a lot of the problem when people come to the subject, that they've suddenly got to assess the skeletons in their closet and they don't want to. Now, I'm not saying your son's got, any horrible things in his closet. You know what I'm saying? Metaphorically, obviously. I'm sure as a teenage boy, he's got plenty of disgusting things in his actual closet.
I'm sure he does, but not as bad yet.
Yeah, some people don't want to let that go for whatever reason.
Well, that's
easily sell.
We know
I was just going to say, you can easily sell the virtues and benefits of nihilism if you want to. I'm not going to, but you could very easily.
I think you should define the word nihilism there, Nathan, because for ages I didn't really understand the word nihilism. So tell people.
Does that come through the mic?
Sums it up.
Oh, it didn't come through. It didn't go loud enough. I'll just read it. Basically, the rejection of all beliefs and the rejection of all things that would leave you with anything to have a destiny for. It's a kind of rejection of everything in that regard.
I was going to say that is the reason why people do that, because they want to be the center of everything. They don't want an authority figure, creator, to be the center. And hey, there might be some rules that I got to follow, and maybe I don't want to follow rules, or maybe I should be living a certain way. I don't want to live that way. And so it goes all the way back to the person and the sin nature, as the scriptures describe, that me, me, me. I mean, I never taught my children to be selfish, but from the time they're born, even into adulthood, we fight selfishness. Mine, that's mine, and taking away this toy from that one and hoarding it. It's almost like the Hobbit, in the Lord of the Rings thing with the ring. And so,
well, if there's nothing important in life and there's nothing significant, then you can go through life with that kind of carefree attitude, and it tends to make people very selfish. And as I say, I'm putting a negative spin on it. You can easily put a positive spin on those things, and plenty of people do. But normally they're people who want to control other people.
I just find it funny when people when they come to this realization, or they start to, they'll throw out all objectivity. It's like, oh, well, then we just can't know anything. Well, that's weird, because 10 minutes ago you knew it was a globe. Now you finding out it might not be. Now you don't know anything. That's a bugged out state of mind as far as I'm concerned. That's crazy.
Dude, it has to be a globe, and if it's not a globe, that means this is all just a trick, just to make you believe
the
it's not a
Matrix.
globe,
Like Rumpus said
right?
to Anthony. Oh,
Because-
maybe it's a Matrix then.
Right, you might turn out to
Like,
be a
what?
brain in a box, but that brain in the
Anything
box
but
is
flat,
gonna
right?
be on a globe. You see?
Well, that's again proving that their selfishness. Oh, so if I'm wrong here, then I can't be wrong. But if I'm wrong here, then everything is a lie. I'm never wrong.
Yeah, exactly. But the brain in a jar and Matrix are the same thing. They're the same argument. But that's the same. That is nihilism. That is, well, it's all for nothing. It's meaningless. I'm just a brain in a jar. Nothing that actually happens is actually occurring. It's meaningless. That's nihilism.
Well, that just proves you can't have a brain without a container. That's all that.
Yeah, right.
Little skullduggery there.
Did when I got it to text read, did it come through? I got it to read nihilism. Did it actually come through the sound, or was there just a short pause?
No.
Well, that doesn't work then. I got it to read the
No,
text, and it didn't work.
actually, I thought you were doing it on purpose. It was so quiet, and so Neil goes, "Well, that sums it up because it was quiet for a long time." And I go, "Well, that's a perfect thing Nathan just did. I thought you did it on purpose."
No,
Right.
I
It
did
was
it.
so silent, I was even afraid to break it.
No, it was supposed to be. No, it was just supposed to be a robotic voice reading out the definition of nihilism, but it didn't work. That's okay. Don't worry. I'll put it on screen instead.
But the silence was the definition. That was the beauty of it.
No. The brain in a jar is a good example. You know, if you're a brain in a jar and you're experiencing something akin to the Matrix, then anything that happens within that scenario is meaningless, isn't it?
If you're a brain in a jar, then the Marine Corps has it right because they're known as jarheads.
Loads of ways of telling that story. So if you've seen Vanilla Sky, it's the same story. Matrix, same story. It's the whole idea of brain in a jar. What was that?
Yeah, Vanilla Sky was very close.
Tech support!
It's been a while since I saw that. I should watch it again.
Vanilla Sky is comparable to Matrix, really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude.
Oh.
You having
I'm
me
gonna
on?
have to
Yes.
check that out then. I've never seen it.
Really?
Well, chocolate, you have an affinity with vanilla.
Nobody spoil it.
yeah, that's my problem.
Nobody
yeah.
spoil it for chocolate.
Nobody spoil it. We've just spent 10
No
minutes talking
bias or
about.
nothing.
We just spent 10 minutes talking about brain in a jar. Do you not think he's going to put two and two together?
Yeah, okay. It's not a brain in a jar.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly what it is.
No.
Are you just
it's
trying to
still
not
his
ruin the
entire
movie for
body.
him? Yes, that is
Or his
exactly what
entire
it is.
body in a jar. Thanks.
Right. But
Hey, Chocolate, just
It's
so
all right.
that you're
I'll
aware.
check it out. Don't worry about it. Yeah, go ahead.
Just so that you're aware, Penelope Cruz in that Vanilla Sky, it was probably her best moment in life. She was so pretty looking in that film.
Also got
Why?
some
She
really
ugly
nice.
now? What happened to her?
Got a great Ferrari in
She's
it as
just-
well.
She's just beautiful in it. She was in her best prime position in life, I think. I mean, she's got that like accent, the Mexican sounding accent, which probably isn't Mexican, but it sounds it. She's just sounds fantastic.
All right, I'll check it out.
Yeah, but he's also driving a 250 GTO. So, you know, there's also that.
Oh shit.
I think Tom Cruise married Penelope Cruz after this, after them getting together on this.
Who cares? So, nihilism, right? Brain in a jar, an outlook that is akin to the outlook of the empty vastness of space and us just being an insignificant speck of dust in a massive soup of ever-expanding nothingness. Now, when you think of the world from a heliocentric point of view, like in Contact or Men in Black in the opening and closing scenes, when they zoom out from a marble and right the way out to a massive scale with all the universes and then back into it just being another marble. You know, it's that sort of fractal way of thinking that makes you so small and so insignificant that anything you do here is meaningless. That's the outlook that heliocentrism gives you. Very bleak.
Ah,
But it's
I-
stupid though, because even though a fractal nature might actually apply, even though we might seem super insignificant, who are you to say? Who are you to judge about what scale matters over what scale? Do you understand the true meaning of the fractal existence? I don't think so.
I just think Anthony should stick to gravity because he kills it well. When he brought up Penelope Cruz and and Tom, I just think it's mission impossible for him to get those facts right. She's not Mexican; she's Spanish. Number one.
Well, Latino or whatever. There's Mexican.
No, she's not
there, isn't there?
Latino. She's not even Latino.
Who cares? She sounds it. She sounds it. I didn't say she was. I said she sounds
No,
it.
they took
Dude.
that language to Mexico.
Who
Just
cares?
watch the movie. It's not
Yeah,
about
watch the movie. Just to be clear, I said I thought they got married as a result of it. They didn't. They dated for about 3 years apparently and didn't get married, but it was close enough.
That's
Well,
why I said it
thank
was
you,
Mission Impossible.
Oprah Winfrey.
Pardon?
But thank you, Oprah Winfrey.
Where can I buy the
Well,
book?
what is it? Tea time?
And what is this? The View? What's going on?
I just didn't want someone writing a debunk video because I said they got married when they didn't.
I just love.
Oh
when
yeah,
Anthony thinks
yeah. That's the kind of thing
Latino.
I search YouTube for. I scrub YouTube for that kind of flat Earth debate debunked. Cruz doesn't marry Cruz.
Riley's
if they-
trolls might do that though. You
No,
know,
the
he's got a
major
lot
on
of
the
trolls.
mind-
Like, look, Sleeping Warrior is wrong. Tom Cruise didn't marry Penelope
Yeah,
Cruz.
Nathan,
He's wrong
Nathan,
about
I
Tom and
wouldn't have one
Penelope.
video about it.
If he's wrong about
Nathan, make
it's
sure to
because the
put an
major on the
extra
minor.
hashtag of it in the description box.
It gets
It's
much
because
worse
they major
chocolate.
on the minor so much. We all know that if you get the wrong if or the wrong then at the wrong time, that debunks the whole argument that you're making.
No, it can get a lot worse chocolate because now there's Latino gravity.
She was
But-
fit anyway. So
shit.
watch it.
extremely racist. As a proud Latino Jew, I find that very offensive.
Mazel tov.
Shalom.
Well, back to
morning.
Rumpus having two eye. What did he say? Eye measurements. How did he say it yesterday? Sights.
Two
different
lines of sight?
He had. Yeah, how
talking
can you have two lines of sight?
What did he say?
2 lines of
I wasn't
sight.
here yesterday.
2 lines of sight. That's what he said.
Classic. Classic. Does
Why?
he count each eye as one or what?
Well, because he's got to draw a line of sight to the geometric horizon. Unfortunately, because we cannot see the geometric horizon, he's got to get around that little problem by saying, well, we've got 2 lines of sight. And then he's going to go on to describe a line of sight of something that only exists in the maths. So it's not a line of sight, but that's what he'll
We got-
call it.
2 lines of sight?
Oh, chocolate, you missed it yesterday. It was funny as heck.
Yeah, I didn't hear that. That's crazy.
Yeah, we've only got one
How do 2
horizon.
lines of sight give you sight to something you can't see because we
No.
have an atmosphere, don't expect to see, can't measure it?
No, we've only got one horizon, and the horizon in their globe maths is physical and geometric. That's his first line of sight. The horizon we actually see is non-physical, non-geometric, apparent, moves with the bloody weather. And that's not what they need for their geometric earth curve maths, because if we're on a sphere, we've got a sphere edge for a horizon, it's going to block stuff. Exactly as asserted in their earth curve maths. Isn't that shocking? It's just a coincidence they're denying it because of the black swan. They have to deny their own earth curve maths. Shout out to
Oh,
hold on one second. Shout out to Tony Whitcomb. We live on Earth, not around it. Now that gravity has been debunked, it's now untenable to try and reify it into reality. Indeed, Tony, thank you very much for the £50 super chat. Really appreciate your support. Yeah, you can't
It is
reify.
possible that they could have 2 lines of sight. If you
Not-
imagine Rumpus with one eye looking one way and the other eye looking the other way because he's got a wonky
Right.
eye, then you could have
Riley,
2 lines of sight.
you just read my mind. I was gonna say, wait a minute. So if I'm cross-eyed, maybe like I could look in one direction, see the geometric horizon that apparently we can't see, and then the other direction I look and see the apparent horizon.
No, he's got 2 situations. One has got no atmosphere and nothing's being refracted, and that's a situation we can never achieve, but it's going to be the situation he claims is an earth curve edge that isn't visible and will move with the weather because it's non-physical, non-geometric. But its justification is that, well, we never get to see the geometric horizon because we have got atmosphere, and that scenario, well, we can calculate that scenario that doesn't exist and then base our horizon that we're going to move with whatever sliding scale we're going to apply to it based on a position we can't see and is never going to be seen. But we'll maths it into existence in our second scenario.
I mean, if
Well,
we're
they
going to
need-
do that, why don't we just throw a third line of sight and just call that, Muppet vision?
That's what they do.
That way we cover all the bases. There you go.
Yeah, the second scenario is Muppet Vision. I hadn't twigged, Chocolate, but yeah, exactly. Scenario 2 is Muppet Vision. That's right.
Insane.
Can I just point out as well that the only people that could possibly have wonky eye would be globe earthers, because they see two lines of sight to 2 different points. We just look at the horizon and say, well, whatever the horizon is, it's only the 1 point. But if you've got 2 wonky eyes, then you can see 2.
Not even a point. It's a point in their maths. It's a single point tangent point, actually, as Arwin pointed out earlier. Just a point if you've got a curved line and not a straight one to it. But nevertheless, their point isn't a horizon either. A horizon would be a line that crosses the periphery of your view from left to right or right to left, whichever way you want to describe it. But that line isn't a point. In their maths, it's a point. A single point. A tangent point. But we've debunked that now, haven't we?
Well, even they say that if it's a circle around you as far as you can see, so they toe both lines.
Wait, so that would mean that that tangent point in actual 3D vision would be a curved line instead.
No, that's not a tangent, Arwin. We went over this earlier.
But if the Earth was a globe and you would be overlooking it in 3D, then it's not a singular point, right? It would be a line, and it would be curved because you're looking over a curved surface.
Yeah, but
If you're looking over a person looking out at the horizon, you have top view down.
No,
you can
stop,
see,
stop,
you
stop.
can draw
Please
a
stop,
circle
please,
around.
please,
I'm just
please,
fascinated by this.
please,
You have
hello,
a curved
hello,
tangent
hello.
line.
No, just keep talking. Let's unscramble these scrambled eggs, because you're trying to convolute or mix up 2 different things. What we see out of our eyes when we look at a horizon is what you're describing when you say you see a line. Yes, that's correct. But you're not going to achieve that in their geometry, which is in Muppet Vision. Then they've got a point. Well, you don't see a point in reality. But what you're doing is saying, well, the point we see in their maths is actually a line. Well, no, we don't see a point. That's what they have in their maths. What we do see is a line. That's the horizon, a non-physical, non-geometric location that moves with the weather, asserted to be physical geometry blocking boats and buildings. But the two are not the same. You can only represent their tangent point as a point in their maths. It's never a line, always a point. The horizon's never a point, it's always a line.
I
Breathe
still
easy.
think it's viable ground for more confusion.
I don't think it is.
Rumpus has some maneuvering room here left.
I don't think it is. When you're looking at something 90 degrees side on in Muppet Vision, that is not the way the world represents itself. You don't get to see the side of your own head. You don't get to see a single point claimed to be a horizon, which is actually a tangent point in geometry. That's not how you see the world. You definitely don't see the side of your own head. And you definitely don't see the horizon as a single point, tangent point to a sphere Earth that you're looking over. You just see a line across your vision. Well, that's not what they represent when you look at your own head. And a line from it to something in the right that hasn't changed its size with distance.
Correct.
Their world we don't experience. It's just that simple. And the 2 scenarios you've got to create in order to do that is one that's Muppet Vision that doesn't have perspective and has tangents that can't be measured, moving horizons that we actually see to positions that aren't geometric in reality. And those 2 scenarios will never cross over because we don't live in a world in Muppet Vision with Earth curve and tangent points as horizons. That's not the world we experience. It's just that simple.
Well, that's why they have it that way, because we don't experience it.
But
Yeah.
it's magic Earth curve that places itself 10 times further than where it should be.
10 times further where it should be as a point on the edge of a sphere in an Earth curve calculator. That's where it should be in their maths. and they're moving it based on where their maths says it should be. What we experience in reality has nothing to do with where the maths says something should or shouldn't be, especially when where it should or shouldn't be is on the right-hand side of the page with you comparing it to a photograph, and the picture that the maths has got your own head in it. You know, it's just farcical.
As it turns out, when you have a photograph with your own head in it, the world's a globe.
Wasn't that the claim originally, that terrestrial refraction theoretically allows you to basically see your own ass?
Yeah, on a clear enough day,
Didn't
with a
Rump
powerful
say
enough
that?
zoom and a bit of Paul's maths, you can see your own ass in a telescope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now I know why they're happy to admit to that. Because that is a transition statement. As farcical as it seems, Anthony, the reason they were willing to actually admit because that takes the maths inside profile and has a description that applies 7/6R or whatever variant they're going to use to bend the light infinitely around the sphere so you can see the back of your own head. Because that takes it from the maths to the real world. So it's a useful transitional statement for them to apply so that you are reifying their maths into the real world. Because even though you're having a chuckle about it, you're describing something in actuality. Actually seeing the back of your own head in a telescope, that's something very real world. Not their maths, but they're describing seeing your own head in their maths when they just draw a circle and just draw a dotted line all the way around it and say that's what light does. But that's not comparable to the real world. But they'll love that statement and they'll happily look stupid in admission of it because it's a useful transitional statement. Because we couldn't figure, why would they ever say, yeah, you can see the back of your own head? Because it's silly, right? Well, no, it's just useful to them if you're a fundamentalist religious zealot with a globe belief. That's a useful way of stepping from the maths in Muppet vision into reality with you thinking about looking at your telescope.
Hey, Nathan. Hey, everyone. How are you?
Hey, Brian.
Yeah, on that, I would say, no, that's not the reason they were so happy to admit that. I would say it's much more simple than that. It means you're already begging the question.
That's what I mean. Already begging the
Oh, is it?
question
Sorry.
means already in their maths, already using their globe maths to make the...
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay. I was talking about the radius. So, okay.
Yeah, you're assuming a radius and bending the light around it to describe what you see in your telescope. Exactly, you are begging the question. You're absolutely correct, but we're saying the same thing. It's rather than saying begging the question, which often people will just hear and it'll just go in one ear and out the other because it's a description of a fallacy. Whereas if I say transitional statement from the maths, which has your own side of your own head, and then a circle with you looking at yourself looking at the back of your own head, to you thinking about actually doing it with a telescope, it transitions from the maths. That's your begging the question fallacy, that Earth's a sphere with a dotted line going around it, with the back of your own head in the view in the picture. But that's you looking at yourself in the picture, i.e. looking at a dotted line going from your eyes, going all around a sphere, and then coming back to meet the back of your own head. Very different to you actually looking through a telescope and seeing your own head. But like I say, one is real world, one's the maths, and Anthony's doing all the work and all the legwork for you. They need you to reify the maths. Describing something that is them bending light at whatever rate they need in their begging the question fallacy, Earth curve maths, is very useful to them.
I see it
Sorry,
as
I
almost the
misunderstood.
same nonsensical thing as when they say, well, if it's flat, why can't I see forever? Or why can't I see China from New York? It's the same. It feels like it's the same thing when they say, oh, I can see the back of my head with a telescope, but they apply that to a ball. It's like this thing with vision, like they think all of a sudden if it's not a ball, you can see yourself, or you could see forever and ever. It's
Excellent.
insanity.
Yeah, that's a good point. So what you're also ignoring when you describe that is the angular resolution limit of the telescope, calculable with the Rayleigh criterion. Well, when you actually work out how far you would have to look, 24,000 miles? Well, obviously Anthony's own head is going to be far too small to see at that distance. It's absolutely ludicrous. But in their maths, they can do it. Because you're looking at the side of your own head and just drawing a dotted line around a sphere. So why wouldn't you see your own head? Because there's nothing in that depiction that gives you perspective. Why? Well, because that's what they've called Earth curve.
Yeah, they like to ask impossible questions, don't they? Because they know you can't, things they know you can't do, you know.
But,
Yeah,
but
they're
the thing
always-
is, it's like, how does this topic bring you to that type of mentality. I mean, did you think before you started talking about this that you could see forever? And then being that because obviously everybody freaking knows you can't see forever. But then did you relate that to being on a ball before you had this conversation in this topic? No. So then why are you doing it?
These are the same people who could sit in their living room, look across the room, and not see their set of keys. I mean, they know what perspective is.
Oh, my living room's a ball.
Yeah, but not when the ball.
No, because you can't see my keys. Therefore, it must have been gone over the curvature.
Give me my refracted keys, chocolate.
Well, I mean, that's what it is, right? They say that's the only reason that something could disappear.
Well,
We're on the
no,
ball.
when it's on any other subject, they agree with us. When
Of
it has to
course.
do with the ball, they disagree with us.
Of course.
Hey,
Yeah,
the
that's
best
exactly
cross-eyed
correct.
joke is that dad joke I said that one time, since you brought it up there, chocolate. It's a classic one. This guy sees his friend and he's all sad and he says, "What's up?" And he says, "Oh, I just broke up with my cross-eyed girlfriend. We can't see eye to eye." And he says, "It got worse a month later when I found out she was seeing someone on the side."
Wow.
Anyway, so just to summarize that, the reason we're talking about being asked as flat earthers whether or not we can see Paris from New York is because in the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking, earth curve mathematics, there is no perspective demonstratable by their feet and inches value. So it won't matter if the object that you're targeting is 30 miles away or 3 miles away. They'll ask you to qualify why a certain number of feet and inches or meters is missing from the bottom of a target. Well, that is because the feet and inches value, actual sizes, doesn't change with distance, effectively removing all perspective. So therefore, when you remove all perspective and take the same diagram, which asserts that a physical earth curve edge horizon gets in the way, giving you your feet and inches that's blocked to the bottom, well, when you take that diagram and straighten out the line that they're claiming gets in the way, you're left with a single line, a target on the right, and an observer on the left. Well, if you draw a line between those two things, you can say the man's 6 foot and the target's 100 foot. But then on the line between them, you can write 1 million miles. And the diagram in no way accounts for the fact that the 100-foot building has got much, much smaller at that distance. It's still 100 foot, right? Well, it is in earth curve maths because it needs to be. Because at any distance, it will always be that same feet and inches value, removing perspective. Therefore, leaving them with the idea that they should ask us why we can't see Paris from New York. The answer, well, because it's miles too small, it's too far away. No, says the globe earth believer, it's because earth curves got in the way. No, it isn't. It's just too small to see.
Don't round out.
Go on,
Just a quick one just before you finish, Nathan. There's a premiere on my show because I've had my channel deleted. I need the watch minutes, so feel free to go over to my channel and watch the 12-minute video against Hillbilly Blue Balls. It's really good. It's about gas pressure and he debunks himself. Starts in a minute.
Have you put the link in the live stream chat? Because otherwise that is a useful shout out. You have, because I can't see it going past.
Should be able to.
Right. I can't see it going past, but there we go. I'm going to round out anyway. So with that, I am going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's live show possible. If you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, however, stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Another massive thank you to all of you smashed the super chat, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Shout out to M for hitting the super chat just as the live show ended.
Funny with that Muppet Vision shit, because we would talk about it all the time. And at some point, we were like, but we don't see like this. Like, why are we talking about an observation from a position nobody ever has in their observation? Why are we doing that?
To remove perspective.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I remember I used to do demonstrations of Miles Davis's observations and other people's observations, but a lot of them were his. And I used to do physical demonstrations where I literally recreated anything he showed. I literally recreated it on a flat surface, okay, as flat as a floor or a table could be. And every single time, all I would get off the ballers is these diagrams of orthographic view, right, where they have a mountain that's huge and a camera position that's small, and they'd have them about an inch away from each other on a page, and in between they'd have 50 miles or whatever it would be, and see it doesn't work, and then they'd have another one where the mountain would be gone over the curve, and they'd have the same distance in, but the line of sight would be just right for them to have the exact observation in their diagram that Miles Davis had. And they completely ignored every time that I was doing every bit of it on a flat plane. Every bit of it. But because they had diagrams in orthographic view. 50 miles, a million miles, as you say, Nathan. It doesn't matter, because they can put anything, any number in that orthographic area.
Yeah, because the target's never going to change, is it? So you say, here's the target on the right, it's 50 feet. And here's you on the left, you're 6 feet. And the distance between them is a mile. Perfectly reasonable, right? We can see everything perfectly okay. Now, in orthographic view at that point, if you're already begging this question, you haven't twigged that what you see definitely doesn't include the side of your own head and a target side profile with a value that's not changing as it gets further away. But nevertheless, we then push it out to 50 miles. And you go, oh, look, the bottom's disappeared. Now, again, for us, we'd say, yeah, you've got a very limited angle against the deck. It's reached and breached the angular resolution limit at the bottom, but you've got a wider angle to the top stuff, so you can still see that. They go, no, Earth curve blocked it. A physical Earth curve horizon got in the way. That's why this many feet and inches, that isn't changing with distance, has blocked. Now you push it out to 3,000 miles. Why can't you see it at 3,000 miles? Well, because it's tiny, it's far too small to see. Nah, it's well behind Earth curve. Here's my diagram. Man on the left, Earth curve getting in the way in the middle, target on the right. The target's 100 feet, you should see it, right? No, you shouldn't, it's tiny, it's too small. And I don't see the side of my own head when I look at things. But they'll just keep punting the same orthographic view to remove perspective, even to the point where eventually they'll ask you, why can't you see Paris from New York?
Yeah, but Nathan, we never claimed the horizon to be Earth curve.
Nobody claims the horizon is Earth curve. Oh, do you want to see my pictures of horizons? The title is This is Earth Curve.
Of course.
Hey, QE.
Hey, John.
Morning.
It's amazing how that door swings both ways, huh?
What door would that be?
That door of the horizon. We see it. It's blocking. We don't see it.
I'm interested to see what comes next, because obviously that's been and gone. Probably happened in the 70s or something with Coriolis effect at some point. Maybe it was 100 years ago when people started flying. Who knows? At some point, someone said, hang on a second. We're supposed to have 15 degrees an hour drift. I was expecting to make this journey really quick. You know, I was really hoping the Earth would be turning underneath me. That would really help my flight. And it didn't. What gives? And then they've had to convolute it with hurricanes and various other parts of the story that don't make any sense with actual Coriolis deflection, while still having the High Priest assert Coriolis deflection. You've got to scramble those eggs as much as possible, right? Well, now we're in the same boat with horizons. The horizon's Earth curve, it's blocking things, according to them, and there's a feet and inches value ascribable to how much it's blocking them, right? Well, now they're telling us the horizon's not Earth curve. So how are they going to scramble the eggs going forward to make it as confusing as possible for people at trench level so that they can get a flat earther to say, no, the horizon is Earth curve, because that's what they need. They need us to be barking like we used to with Coriolis. No, Earth's turning underneath, we used to cry, to the point where Simon Dan gets so confused he thinks we're claiming it.
Well, the problem they have with the horizon now is Black Swan is a dagger to the heart of their whole model, which is the R. There is no R.
It's funny though, like that example, and I posted it again in War Room and Master B. When given that the globe math predicts that the horizon is way too far to be blocking anything, all of a sudden, yeah, angular resolution is a thing.
No, let you talk, bro. they
His
they
name is
can't help
Indio,
themselves.
unorthodox Indio.
Oh, that was India?
No, we can't tell.
Yeah, that was Indio. Dude.
Unorthodox
Wait,
and
yes.
Indio. Unorthodox and Indio.
Yeah. So, how does a boat disappear in 500 feet when the globe model predicts the horizon is 2,600 feet away? So, what's blocking the boat if it's not at the horizon yet? I don't see anything blocking the boat. I see the resolution. I see the camera being unable to resolve the boat.
Oh,
Welcome to Flat Earth.
Welcome to Flat Earth, my friend. Snacks to the
Snacks to the
back,
back.
bathrooms to the left, DJs taking requests, and smoke them if you got them. Welcome, unorthodox. Unorthodox.
Doesn't disappear. It just
You just snatched your own wig off. Unorthodox.
Look, this video I just.
Yep. Beautiful example of a blower snatching his own wig off.
Exactly.
Part of that was copyrighted.
Hey.
When they don't have when it's prior to the physical geometric sphere edge horizon limitations. So the black swan is it being beyond the limitations of physical geometry. And in this case, you've got the reverse of that. You've got something that's too close, but still has an angular resolution limit because you're looking at a boat, right? It's on the deck and you're presumably low to it, 500 feet or whatever he said it was. Well, at those distances, nothing should be disappearing. Well, unfortunately, perspective doesn't give a shit about an Earth curve edge claim that's hijacked itself. So perspective's still going to take place, even if it's prior to the assertion that the horizon's physical and going to block your view. So what do they say when it's blocking it prior to it? Well, it's optics. Oh, right, but when it reaches your side profile Muppet Vision representation of Earth curve edge, it'll be Earth curve that's caused it. But prior to that, it's optics.
Yep. That was the same guy that came here and told us, hey, guys, the Black Swan, did you guys forget about optics? Yep. We didn't forget about our own argument. Thanks.
Nah, that was unorthodox, Numpty. That was the Black Swan fallacy that he was committing, charging us with.
It's awesome.
Yeah, that was hysterical too. That was unorthodox, wasn't it? Came in and claimed we were guilty of the Black Swan fallacy.
Yep.
Because it was called the Black Swan. He thought it was a fallacy. Unbelievable.
It's just priceless how dumb he is.
The latest claim
I
from the
remember
ballers.
that.
The latest claim from the ballers is that the geometric horizon is a necessary antecedent, or is the necessary antecedent of the apparent horizon. Necessary.
The
That's what I told you. That they say it's projecting the geometric horizon exists. We don't see it, but it's, I don't know, somehow projecting itself up into the apparent horizon. That's where we're at.
Yeah,
I trimmed that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I trimmed that out from yesterday's show. Everything's a hologram.
Who the hell said that?
You trimmed that out of what?
Yesterday's show we were discussing exactly this, and you know, I vividly remember finding this out. It stuck with me when it was explained to me. In terms of how they describe the world, right, you've got an arbitrary 7/6 of the radius value that they can't measure anymore being applied to what they call refraction. Well, that means that all lines are bent. I'm sure we're all very clear about that because that's their defense to the black swan, right? It's all refracted.
Yep.
Well, if all lines are bent, then nothing's where it's supposed to be. That's I can't put it any simpler. But when Chris Monk explained that to me, and the penny sunk in, it's like, hang on a second. So what you're saying is, I look out my window, and what I see over there isn't really there. No, it's not. It's in a slightly different location because the light's being bent around a presupposed spherical surface before it reaches your eye. Therefore, it's not where it's supposed to be. Therefore, it's a hologram. What? I couldn't quite believe my ears when I suddenly figured out what it means when they say, well, we've got standard refraction, meaning 7/6 of the radius value, meaning everything to every location ever is bent. There is no direct line of sight to anything ever. What? Yeah, there is. I just look at stuff and see it. No, not on a globe, you don't.
Yeah, it's like them saying everything is refracted because we have an atmosphere. That's why we can't measure the geometric horizon because it's always refracted.
Exactly.
And
what
why
does
is it
that
always
mean?
refracted? Because we have an atmosphere.
Exactly. Always refracted. Always 7/6 our terrestrial refraction. That's their refraction. Therefore, always bent lines to everything. Nothing's where it's supposed to be. That's what you've got to believe if you're on a sphere.
Yep.
Well, they basically make a triangle with the horizon we see, and then they have to believe that in reality, the bottom line of that triangle is a curved line. You know what I mean? They have a droppy triangle going on, don't they?
Yeah. Pythagoras would be turning in his grave.
Like they have to believe that the apparent horizon is only a product of the geometric horizon because it can't exist any other way. It has nothing to do with optics and the weather. It's purely a product of the geometric horizon, as there is absolutely no other way for it to be there. That's what they have to believe.
My citation will be unorthodox, who just said he sees the boat not being able to be picked up by the resolution of the camera.
But this
My citation is unorthodox.
This is Al-Biruni on screen, just in case Arwen's still around. So this is how he's deriving the physical tangent point by way of dip angle. That's A. That's the dip angle. Small a.
Al-Biruni.
What you've got beyond it.
I just heard that.
What did he say?
Al-Biruni.
Al-Biruni.
I've just gone through. Yeah, I've just gone through most of it. By the way, that reminds me. Nathan, can you stay for a quick minute? I got a quick shop question for you. It's concerning exactly that, but just a minute. I promise.
Okay. If it's about playing sound effects, I can't help you. Speak to Anthony.
No, not sound effects. No.
Hey, Nathan, go back to that second page of that American Association of Geographers, the radius of Earth effective.
Okay.
And mass
the
just before you
effective
do,
radius.
I just want to point out that their triangle is like an ice cream triangle, isn't it? The way it kind of melts away down. If you look at the screen, it's a melted triangle. It's like a Salvador Dali. That's who.
Salvador Dali.
Just sorry a second.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
Just so I can talk about it. Aldon, just want to make it clear for the audience what Brian's talking about. So I've got my mouse moving over the curved edge bottom line, i.e. if they're making any measurement from point B in this diagram, there is no flat surface. They've only got a curved one. Well, that's what they can actually use if they're claiming the surface is actually curved. Now, Brian obviously knows this already, but they'll draw a tangent plane. So zenith would be A to B, and then the tangent plane, after assumption that that line's drawn to the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth, will give them a straight line here. Now, they're using the same principle, but they're calling it I can never remember the name of this bloody horizon. What do they call it? The imaginary horizon along the
True
horizon.
Which one?
It's the line along which A is situated, the top horizontal line.
Oh yeah, that's the if A line, that's yeah, I think it's the astronomical. I think you might be right.
Astronomical horizon, that's right. So an astronomical horizon is 90 degrees to your zenith. It's an imaginary horizon, 90 degrees to your zenith. And then the horizon that Al-Biruni sees is the actual line he's going to draw from C to A. And then the dip angle measurement is what he's going to take to give him actual trig to derive R. So that's how they do the dip angle measurement. Now, the most important part of that measurement is C. What is C? Well, the C is the bit that gives him the right angle. It's the physical geometric tangent point Earth curve edge horizon. C is Earth curve. Absolutely required to do geometry. That's their tangent point. Now, what Arwin said earlier on in the show is, if I put another point here, you can't see it on the diagram, it looks like there's a little cursor mark next to it, but if I put that on a sphere and just have a little point here that I'm going to call F, well, point here, F, that's got a curved line from A to F, isn't a tangent anymore, and that's what they're saying. And the way they get F would be to assert that we'll take this C that I've no longer got, derive R, and move it to a different location. It's like, well, you haven't got R anymore. Where the black swan debunks it. Go ahead.
Nathan, may I add something here, Nathan?
Yeah, I'll go after that.
Thank you, Brian. All right, see where A on top of the sphere, and then B, the tangent point B, and then look at C with the tangent point under C. Those are two straight lines coming from the radius, the R value. They're not measuring from the mountaintop. They're measuring from the center of the Earth. This is the same principle of the sextant that I shared. The only way that they can get anything to work is for the sun's rays to come in parallel, which they don't, by the way. And they must take the measurement from the center of the Earth. It's cut off in the picture, but that's where the angle is created, where those two lines meet, where the rest of it's cut off, at the center of the Earth. So, but no one is taking measurements from the center of the Earth. This is a presupposition. So the only place on the sphere that you can get an angle is from the center radius. There's no other place you can get an angle. You can't get it from the surface because it's got a curved surface. But where is the sextant being used on the sphere? If we lived on the sphere, it's being used on the surface. So the sextant cannot work with a curved surface. So it's a trick here. He's actually showing you, we presuppose an Earth, we presuppose a radius of 3959, and that's where the geometric horizon has to be based on that 3959. And then the rest of it is just drawings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Nathan, I'll go after you.
I was just about to tag to you anyway, Brian. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Two quick things. First, on what Temp is saying, yeah, they had to pre-assume the maths to use the maths. That's exactly basically what Temp is saying, because there's no other way to do it. They have to pre-assume the maths to use the maths to get the radius value that is already in the maths that they pre-assumed. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a big circle joke, because they have to go around in a circle with the maths to prove the maths. But the only way to do that is to use the maths. You know, so they've now they already had a radius value before they started, because they were using the maths that had the radius value in it. Then they measured this radius value that's already in the maths by using the maths that has the radius value in it. Do you know what I mean?
You're right. You're absolutely right.
Legit.
It's the definition of circular reasoning. It's begging the question fallacy on steroids. You're absolutely right. And when we first pointed that out, it wasn't enough to point out that they were begging the question, because they're like, well, we know we're on a sphere, therefore we take the maths for a sphere to measure the sphere so we can prove the sphere we've assumed. Well, that's what you're saying. It's a begging the question fallacy. And that's what we pointed out and got to the pinnacle of that was Mick West. Well, yeah, we assume R. Well, we already knew they assumed R. They'd never admitted it. We thought that would be the end. But that wasn't enough, because they're like, well, we already know. It's like, what? So you're going to give us a begging the question fallacy to justify a begging the question fallacy? Yeah, because we already know, would be what they cried. So we had to take it further, or QE did take it further, by development of the Black Swan. You take this presupposition and force the limitations on the opponent. Okay, if we've got a radius, as you assert we must assume, then it's got limitations. And here they are on screen. And Al-Biruni is measuring those limitations to give him his R value. So you hold them to task based on their own presupposition. That's where it falls apart. That's what Black Swan does. It doesn't only point out that they're assuming R in the first instance, it points out where they can't use it. It leaves them in a paradox. So they don't have an R. Well, that's the end of their assumption, because every single globe argument ever starts with the assumption of R.
Yeah,
Indeed.
and just to make my original point that I was going to make, just for the audience, if they look at A, B, and C, okay, and look at the line between B and C, or C and B, right? The actual only proof that the starting proof, let's just say, that the Earth was a globe, is that is a triangle. Now, if the average person is out there listening to this, if they believe that a triangle has one curved line, then they can believe this. But if triangles have 3 straight lines, then this has to be wrong. That's what I wanted to say.
It's very simple. That's exactly right.
That would have been real shitty if Al-Biruni went out like the next day to measure this crap, and C was like 10 times further or 20 times closer than it usually would be, because it's an apparent position.
Just a story. There might not even be an Al-Biruni. It makes no difference if there was or wasn't. It's just a story. And the way Brian has explained it is the way the story has come about. You've got this necessity, this value that must be employed, and then you figure a way of justifying it with a claim to be measurement, and a backstory that goes along it has got the strapline Al-Biruni's measurement. Well, it doesn't mean that he actually went up a mountain and did any of this crap. Even if he did, it probably wouldn't meet the criteria. If someone tried to replicate it, they'd probably find that it was off. Well, off? What do you mean off? This isn't real. It's back to Muppet vision. What have we got on screen? A is where Al-Biruni is. Does Al-Biruni see the side of his own head and the edge of a sphere?
He went back and redid the test. You think he'll be honest with the calculations anyways?
But the calculations don't exist, Don. What we've got, you can't see because you're in Discord, is a Muppet vision representation where we see the side of our own head. It doesn't matter who goes up this mountain and this view from this mountain to do this maths as done for Al-Biruni's calculation isn't achievable. It's Muppet vision.
Yeah.
And even then, all you got to realize is what the horizon is. And then you look at this and you're like, well, C could have been anywhere because it's a horizon. It's an apparent location.
It's just
not a physical one.
And it's just a point. It's a single point in Muppet vision. Horizons aren't single points. Now, in geometry, you can have a tangent point to a sphere and it be a single point. But in reality, a horizon is crossing your periphery of view and you're not seeing your own head when you look at it.
Nathan, can you go to that middle slide from the Association of American Geographers, the long one?
Yeah, I've got it up now.
Okay, go to the middle part where it says, the distance to the apparent horizon can be calculated using the same formula as is used for the distance to the geometric horizon. Now, I'm going to read that again. It's very good. The distance to the apparent horizon can be calculated using the same formula as is used for the distance to the geometric horizon if, in that formula, a larger value, the effective radius, is used for the radius of the Earth. You can't do that. You can't go and make a larger value for a radius.
Well, it's compromised in the beginning because the geometric horizon is apparent.
Yes, the geometric horizon for their maths, if you're standing on a sphere, the geometric horizon at point C in Muppet Vision on screen now is apparent. That means you see it. And by definition, that's what it is defined as, a visible location. So therefore, if we're on a sphere, we see a geometric horizon. That is what would happen. That's what Earth curve maths are, by the way. That's precisely what they're claiming. That's what this diagram is. This has come from them. That's what they're claiming. It's just a shame that the horizon we see isn't physical, isn't geometric, isn't blocking boats and buildings, and isn't represented in Muppet Vision. But their horizon is definitely a single point tangent. And that's what we would have if Earth was a sphere. It would be a point that blocked things in the distance, as claimed by them.
Apparent in this situation, in this context, does not mean it's seen. Apparent means not actually.
But all horizons are apparent by definition. Therefore, because they have a geometric horizon, picture yourself physically stood on a very large beach ball. Well, the edge beyond which you can see on that 100-foot beach ball is a geometric horizon, which you could qualify in the view on screen. But it would be a geometric limitation to your view. And that's what you'd have, and is claimed in Earth curve maths. That's what you'd have. You'd have a geometric horizon if we were on a sphere. It's just that simple.
It's that simple. So no necessary antecedent.
Exactly what you said, Kiwi, is when the Black Swan came on the scene and the horizon was behind the last oil rig at 9.41 miles, and it's considerably, behind it. Then the Earth's radius would take us this even bigger than Jupiter, if you were to apply their logic.
I'm just saying apparent in this context is just like an apparent deflection. Apparent meaning not actually. So the horizon is always apparent for two reasons. What are those reasons?
Well, one is
because you can never go there. It's not a physical location.
Right.
The Earth never actually meets the Earth or sky. Number one. Number two?
Changes by the weather.
Nope.
Can't get there.
Changes by your height.
Right.
Two reasons. So this is a good time to do this. Right? It's apparent for two reasons. Number one, the Earth never actually meets the sky or ground. And number two, it varies upon the observer's height. That's why it's apparent. It'll always be apparent. So when they say they make the distinction between apparent and geometric, they're on shrooms. Thanks.
Well, they're on shrooms when they say it's a necessary antecedent for the apparent horizon.
Oh,
when it's actually
that is shroom induced. Yeah.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, we only have one horizon. Their horizon is geometric. It's just that simple.
Well, the only way to get the calculation that they got is to use the very mathematics that give you that exact calculation, right? So the way to get that radius value is to use the mathematics that already have that radius value in it. And then the only way for that to be actualized in reality is for all horizons that you view in accordance with your elevation, all horizons that you view after that must adhere to that exact geometry. And if that doesn't happen, then the Earth is not a globe with a radius of 3959 miles.
Or, to put it another way, if the Earth was a sphere radius 3959, then every distance to horizon can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet, and if the distance to horizon is beyond those geometric limitations of a sphere, then the Earth is not a sphere.
Yep. It's always further than that. I can't recall one that wasn't. Every horizon that I've seen has always been further than that, unless there's a fog bank.
Right.
Yeah, the geometric limitations are actually very, very small. If we were on a sphere, it would be pretty obvious pretty quickly. It would be obviously an observably sphere-shaped, especially at radius 3959, because that's small.
Yep.
Little baby ball. So cute.
Yeah. I want to take a quick shout out to Skyfree, man. You guys do amazing test work and observations with the little boats and everything. Just want to say that.
Yeah, that's the one that got unorthodox. that was
I'd
that
like
one.
to say something real quick if I get a chance, because I'm in the middle of work. So I only got a couple of seconds. I don't want to hear the mushy nonsense because it is mushy, but I want to thank Huey because I learned a lot from him, Nathan Oakley, because I didn't know anything until I came to Flat Earth. So thanks a lot, guys.
Oh, yeah, definitely shout out to QE and Nathan Oakley. Definitely shout out to them.
You don't have to blow smoke up our asses. Who's the guy that you said made the boat observation that was on the discussion with Mickey and various others that we played earlier from Chocolate? Who was that?
Sky Free, I think was the name.
No, he's asking for the guy. It was Indio.
Oh, that was Indio that made that.
Oh, I got the.
No. The actual video that India was using for the argument was made by the guy Don Gio just mentioned.
Oh, Sky Free. Yeah, but India was the one that was talking.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of them. You've got to have. It's a bit of both, isn't it? Without the observation, without the black swan in the first instance to trigger all those thoughts, and have Ben describing a giant sphere with the radius value calculated with Al-Biruni's trig. Well, without him doing that, you wouldn't end up of utilising that particular image. In other words, if BLMSB 69 hadn't gone out and done it, there'd be no black swan. It does start there. And the same thing applies with the argument that Indio had. In other words, you've got to have somebody out there, boots on the ground, taking their, pictures with their P900, basically, to then say, how do you explain this? I.e. real-world observations. So my shout-out, as much as I'm getting blown smoke up my ass, is to all the people actually with boots on the ground, because I'm not one of them, right? Now, the stuff comes my way. I don't even have to ask for it. It's fantastic. And it's because of all those people. So my shout-out goes to them for all the hard work, the people out at dusk and dawn and getting cold feet and getting their soggy shoes and putting their tripods in the water and all that. My shout-outs for them, for certain. And that guy you've mentioned, whose name I still haven't caught, even though it's been said 3 times, my shout-outs to you, my friend.
John. Now, ironically, I drove past that Miramar Beach and looked out into the ocean. It's kind of ironic. Kind of funny. Kind of creepy a little bit, but funny.
John, did you catch that guy's video on Scientific Method? I know you put a comment on it and he deleted it, but did you watch it?
Yeah, it was an absolute train wreck of a dumpster fire. From the beginning, I think the first sentence or two was a belly laughing. It was belly laugher.
It's worth a show on it because he comes across as a smarmy, smug little bastard, and he's fucking thick as fuck.
So little swearing in this episode. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G Plus panels for making today's after show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and becoming a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!